Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, Fly Me to the Moon. Like, that's Frank Sinatra, right? Fly me to the moon. I know that was terrible, I'm sorry. I'm not really good at anything, and I'm really, really bad at singing. And my son's trying to sing now, but he is actually better than me. But, so this movie, Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum, which is awesome. Love the both of them, you know. Channing more than Scarlett. Sorry. It's about, like, when they went to the moon, I think. Like, there's only two plot summaries. I always call them synopsis. I should probably say plot summaries on IMDb. But the second one I think is better. It's a sharp, stylistic, romantic comedy set against the high-stakes backdrop of NASA's historic Apollo 11 moon landing, brought in to fix NASA's public image. Sparks fly, there's a romantic kind of thing going on, and whatever, I don't know. So, I really don't know, to be honest with you. I thought it was about, you know, people always debate, did we land on the moon or not? Was it a hoax? And I thought this movie was something around that hoax. And then there's a love interest between the two of them. That's what I think the movie's about. Reading the stuff on IMDb, I don't know. I really don't. But what I do know, I can tell you facts about it instead of what I'm reading there. And I'm going to tell you more facts when I come back in. Woody Harrelson is also in it besides Scarlett and Channing Tatum. And Ray Romano. I mean, come on. Let's see. Anybody else? Nobody else is coming up really quick. But it is also only 6.7 on IMDb. I thought it was... Excuse me, I apologize. I thought it was higher. My mother-in-law loved it. You know, she saw it. You know, normally I talk about my father-in-law. He sees a lot of movies. She saw this in the theaters. 14,260 people rated it so far. Only a 6.7, but 6.7 is pretty good if you've watched any of my reviews. That's pretty high for the movies I watch. But I don't know. I'm intrigued. 2 hours and 20 minutes though. It's a long. It's an investment. I'm gonna let you know if it's worth the investment. Apologize. All right. Stick around. I'll be back. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Fly Me to the Moon, and I have to say, what an interesting movie. Well done, enjoyed it a lot of fun, a lot of good people in it, but it messes with American history. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know what to think about it, but let's just talk it out, right? And I'm going to hit it from two sides, and one I'm going to have to probably say spoiler alert because there's stuff that I didn't know what was going to happen. So it's about the Apollo 11 mission when we went to the moon, right? There's some conspiracy theories out there of whether we went to the moon or not. And this is all public knowledge, right? And people say, actually, Stanley Kubrick is the one I heard that filmed the actual landing on the moon. So this kind of talks about that. But before we get into all of that, it's about the advertising and the marketing of this mission, which I found incredibly interesting when you think back about it. Like Tang. Tang was the orange juice of the astronauts, or whatever. I don't know if it's orange juice, but it's like a mixture that you make like orange juice. I knew that. Now, I wasn't alive when this happened. Hard to believe, I know. But I remember Tang. And Tang was the drink of astronauts. And it's all based on this movie. It's like that. Omega watches. You know, there was, and I think about it, like I wasn't there then, but I think about other, you know, NASA missions that were later on in life and how heavily advertised and they were so influenced in our lives. Like, it was just a big, like the Olympics are. Like, when the Olympics happen, we're all, a lot of us are tuned in, we're looking at it, we're rooting for our athletes and stuff like that. We're all combined. And that's kind of what they did, at least, you know, in the 80s and maybe in the 90s about like NASA stuff. So you can imagine this is the precipice of all of that. And it's all done around like marketing. And I never even thought about that. Not at all. Over all these years, I never thought about how they influence us. I mean, you naturally want to root for us to beat the Russians to the moon. Well, in this case, they kind of force-fed us. Like, yes, you have to. And here's a watch to do it. And here's Tang. And there's other things. I forget what the other things that were in there, but I wrote some of them down. But I totally remember Tang. And then, so this is how, like, okay. And then there's the whole conspiracy theory, right? So the whole first part of that is, like, how they marketed it. And the whole second part was, like, what's going on with this conspiracy theory. We'll touch on that in a bit because I might have to get into, you know, spoiler alert stuff, but not yet. I felt I liked the realism about it because you see, they flew on TWA, and that used to be an airline back in the day. No longer exists. You know, smoking on the plane. You know, people were smoking. I love that. Like, I don't know, realism. I don't know what it is. What was it? Oh, sorry, hold on. The Tab. So Tab wasn't Back to the Future, if you've seen Back to the Future, but it was cool that they brought back Tab. Tab was an old soft drink, you know. So I like those little attentions to detail. And there's a lot, like, it really looked good. It really looked like, wow, this was happening in the 60s. Like, everything. And I really think that there was some actual footage weaved in. I don't know how they could make it so realistic when they show the crowds watching stuff going off at Kennedy Space Center. I thought that was really cool. I also liked the not the rapport, but the connection that our two star acts, Scarlett Johansson and Magic Mike Channing Tatum, had together. They had great chemistry, I felt. You know, I liked it a lot. And, you know, it's also based around that kind of love story stuff. And I thought they worked well together. And it made me think, like, even as actors and actresses, like, I'm thinking, like, if I'm Channing Tatum and I'm going to be in, like, a love interest movie with Scarlett Johansson, I don't know if she's married or not. I know, whatever. But I would think, like, hey, you know, what we should do is just hang out. Let's go out, like, out to dinner. Bring your husband if you have one. Let's all get to know each other. Like, I don't know if that kind of stuff happens with actors instead of just walking up and just acting. Like, I think there's a comfort level that you have to reach before you get into this kind of stuff. At least I think. I don't know. But that would be what my approach would be. Like, hey, man, we're going to do this. We're going to be a love interest, and we're not going to be in love with each other, so you got to figure out, like, you know, that kind of chemistry. And I thought it worked here. I do think Ray Romano was wasted. Again, I've seen this in the last couple of films. I thought there were some good, and Twisters, I just mentioned, if you saw the previous one. But there's good actors in it that aren't given enough moments to shine. Ray Romano's a great addition to this cast, but not enough. And I don't know if it, like, and not knowing behind the scenes, did he have a really good, and it got cut, you know, or that just wasn't the purpose and he was along for the ride. I don't know. I mean, he was in it and that was good, but I thought he could have. Woody Harrelson, a lot more prominent role, and he was allowed to shine as much as he could, so I like that, but Ray Romano, not so much. All right. The other thing I want to mention is Channing Tatum shirts, right? The entire movie, except for the final scene, he wears the same shirt, just different colors. I picked up on that. I don't know if that was intentional or I was just seeing things. If I was watching Channing Tatum too much, I don't know. He also wears a wife beater underneath the whole time. You could tell. But yeah, same shirt the entire time. And his hair. His hair was like mine. It's not as thin, but like it cracked me up like that was his hair. So like then it makes me think, like, was it based on real people or was that supposed to be the haircut of the times? I don't know. That struck me. I thought that was really funny. One last thing before I get into the whole conspiracy theory. Who was Collins? Right? So we know Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, right? There are the astronauts who landed on the moon. They mentioned a Collins, and I don't know. And I could just be uneducated this whole time. But there's a Collins, a third astronaut. So I found that very interesting. Sorry, I hear stuff going on right now. But so anyway, on to the conspiracy theories. Yeah, somebody was sneaking around down here. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it and you don't know what it's all about, it's really more about, and this is where I get really kind of distracted and it's odd to me, is, you know, are they trying to explain a conspiracy theory? Like, I feel like maybe they're trying to, hey, we know this, people are saying we doubt we landed on the moon, and which is okay. Coming to doubt, it was filmed. I heard it was filmed by Stanley Kubrick, which they mention his name in all of this. And then they do this whole movie around explaining all of that, which I found interesting. Is it a movie to explain something that they did or they didn't do? I don't know. So that's, I thought that everything I said up until I said spoiler alert, I thought it was fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked it. The Collins thing, everything. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then when we get to the thought-provoking kind of stuff, it's like, are they trying to trick me? Again? I don't know. But definitely enough to get you excited to watch the entire movie. A little 2 hours and 11 minutes, I think it ended up. And worth the watch. Don't get me wrong. It's worth, now I'm going to think all night kind of stuff. So that's what movies are made about. It's about creating a conversation. It's about thinking. And it's just, not all laid out there. So all in all, great movie. But am I being fooled? Are you being fooled? Are we all being fooled? I don't know. Fly Me to the Moon. Check it out. I'm going to go with a 7 on it. Don't know what's keeping me from an 8. But definitely not a 6. That's where I am. I enjoyed it that much. Alright. Hopefully I was helpful. Should it be an 8? Let me know. What do you think? Should it be an 8? Or should it be a 7? Based on my ratings. I know other people, different ratings. But there you go. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for sticking with me this whole time. Kimmel's Irish Pub.
Thank you.